Hello, everyone. It's Stephen Williams, founder and president of the CreditRepairShop.com. This is something new that we're going to be starting to do. What I've asked is some of my current customers and then some of the people that are watching on YouTube or Facebook, you can also enter to be able to get this done for you. What I'm going to be doing is allowing people to send in their credit reports, but also I want to get some information about your situation so we could see, so we could just tell you how we would go after fixing your credit problem and your debt problem. The reason why is because a lot of people, when they think about working with our company or with any company, let's just take it from that standpoint, is that you have a lot of fears and you're wondering like what's going to happen once I become a customer, or what is the process. There's videos all over the internet. There's a lot of people that don't even know what they're doing. These people are sitting at home or in their basement. They're not licensed, they're not insured, their paperwork has not been looked over by their state. Their contracts has not been looked over by their state. So they're actually just people just throwing information out there that they've seen, regurgitating it, and trying to either sell you some book or tape or some type of monthly membership or whatever. I mean, I'm sick of it because it's hurting a lot of people. And so I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to hear. You may not like it, in which that's just life. But you may not like what I'm about to tell you, but this is the way that you're going to resolve your credit. And you might be saying to yourself, well, you're not in that situation. Well, I was in that situation. I've had a vehicle repoed. I've lost lawsuits. I had bad credit. My credit was lower than 500 at one time, and now it's almost getting close to 800. I've had all of the things that you are facing right now, and I was scared. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I'm just telling you, this is what you have to do to repair your credit, and also to just be able to move forward in life. Now, I have my notes right here. That's why I'll be looking over to the side here. But we had a young lady that was graceful enough to let us. She's like our first person that we're doing this for. We won't mention her name, but she has on her credit scores right now. She has a 475, a 490. That's a 4, not a 9, and a 470. Now that's what her current scores are right now. And then what I'm going to do here, and this is future, this is the past. I think one of the problems that I see with a lot of people is when they come to us as a customer, or when they're thinking about repairing their credit, they're mostly right here. They're in the now, but they're thinking of the future, because they're thinking of, this is where I'm at now, and what can you do to get me in the future, because they're thinking about what they want to do in the future. And they also live in the past. Like a lot of people, I don't know why, it must be the way that our brains are put together, is that we will dwell on the past, we rarely pay attention to the now, and we're also looking towards the future. That's just the way the brain is. But when we get someone as a customer, we put them in the here, and that's like a fear, a place of fear for a lot of people, because that's when you look at what your situation is right now, people really do get scared. Now, let's go over. In the past, we need to find out why they have bad credit. Like, what is the reason that you have bad credit? Well, for this individual, she had lost her job, and she had some medical issues, and she had a divorce. So now when we look at this, because this here is what's going to materialize right here. And that's why people are always afraid to find out where they are, because this here, when they think about this is what comes to their mind, and they get upset, and it brings up a whole bunch of emotions. So from talking with her, she said that she had some medical issues, and then she got divorced also, and she ended up losing her job. Now, if we roll that back, what would be the most logical things that happened? And we do know what happened when we talked to her. I was like, well, that meant you probably were having problems at home that caused some medical issues that you went through, and then because all of this built up on you, you ended up losing your job. And she said, yes, that's exactly what happened. How did you know that? And I said, because number one, I have experience with things personally on how stuff starts to build and it can make another outcome happen. But also from all of the customers that I've worked with, and my staff has worked with, and all the files that I reviewed, I know that you don't have bad credit because you have bad credit. You got bad credit because of things that happen to end up giving you bad credit. So the thing that I always tell people is that before you move forward, are you ready? Because a lot of people, what happens then is they make this decision to work on their credit off of this decision right here, when they should be making the decision on if they're ready to start working on their credit off of this here. Have you resolved all of this? And she said, yes, I have a job now, and I think because I went and applied for some credit that and they told me that my scores were too low, I think I have a lot of that stuff on my credit reports. And I said, well, okay, let's back up a second. You think you know what's on your credit reports because you got declined for credit, so you think you know what's on there. And that's where I talk about the mindset. If you are of the mindset of repairing your credit, listen to me closely. If you are of the mindset of repairing your credit, you better not think you know what's on your credit reports. You better know what's on your credit reports, and you better get all 3 credit reports, and not from some free website that's just trying to sell you a whole bunch of credit cards and loans. You need to know the data. If you don't know the data, how can you move forward? Tell me, how can you move forward if you don't know the data? Listen to, these are her exact words. I went to try to get a loan. They told me my scores were low. I think I have some of this stuff on my credit reports. That is not a person that has in their mind said that they're 100% ready to move forward to repair their credit. And I've told customers this before. You may fail and set us up to fail at repairing your credit simply because you have not resolved this situation right here. And for you that are watching the video, just think back in your past. Think about all the different things that you've tried to do to repair your credit. And you're wondering, why are all of these people, it's working for them and it's not working for me? That's because you haven't resolved this right here. So if you have this resolved, you resolve your medical. What I mean by that is not the bills. What you've done is your medical situation is either improving or you've overcome your medical situation. Your divorce is settled. You've put that in your past and you've moved on in your life. Don't worry about that individual's life. Have you moved forward in your life? And then have you recovered and got a job to where you're working now? You can pay your expenses. You can get groceries. You can provide transportation. You have a place to live. All of that stuff is resolved. And then you move forward over here, and then you need to get the data to repair your credit. Now, she was ready to do that, and we got the credit reports. And if you don't have your credit reports, there's either a link in the description of this video or a link above or below me. We got her credit reports, and it turned out that she had medical bills like she thought, but now we know, and there's 8 of them on there. She had a repo, just one repo, 2 credit cards that charged off, 2 credit cards that charged off, 1 payday loan that charged off. She did not pay it back, and 18 inquiries that was on her credit report. Now, let's talk about step 2 on how we would go about attacking this information. First, with the medical bills, we wanted to make sure that the medical bills, that none of them were past statute of limitations. And we look at that by having the real data, you'll be able to know. Then we also wanted to make sure that none of them were paid by insurances. We asked her about insurances. And if they were paid by insurances, are these balances that are showing on her credit reports the deductibles with those medical bills. And then we went and we wanted to make sure if they were sold to collection agencies, or if the collection agencies are collecting them for the hospital or the doctor or whoever provided any of the medical services for. Then we got that data, and we know what the situation is on that. The other part was we requested all of the information to show that that collection agency followed the HIPAA Act to make sure that they had the proper documentation to even put the medical bills on her report. And so that's something that we also do. Now, let me just be clear. Even if they didn't have permission to put it on the reports, that does not mean that the debt would go away. There's still going to have to be some type of settlement arrangement in the end for her to be able to move forward with paying off those medical bills. But it could give instant relief if the collections agencies does not provide that documentation that they had permission to put it on her reports. Next, with the repossession, we want to get an audited receipt of the car that was sold at auction, and then also to make sure that there was no protection insurance for the car dealer if the car loan was to go bad. There are some dealerships that have these insurance policies, especially if they're dealing with bad credit auto loans. We also wanted to make sure that it wasn't past statute of limitations. And then with the debt collector that is collecting it, we wanted to see if it was sold, and then we would move that over to a settlement also. Something that we also see with a lot of repos and with some credit cards too is that when a couple gets divorced, the judge divvies out, it says you take this car, you take that car, you take this credit card, you got the house and that. You need to understand that if you do that, you need to legally get that information or get that loan refinanced only in your name, and make your ex get that, whatever they get to keep, refinanced in their name. Because if they end up not paying and they end up filing bankruptcy, and because your name is still on the title on that loan, you could be responsible for it. Now, there are cases where we've been able to use the information from the judge to be able to get either a very good settlement, or we could get it to where they won't come after you because the judge said that putting the judge in court stated that the spouse was supposed to be responsible for that item and you're responsible for others. But uh, usually that does not happen because you have to refinance that loan to make it legal. So you can get your name off of it or just to put it in your name. The next thing is the charged off credit cards. We wanted to make sure that they were not under statute of limitations, and then also if they were sold, and usually almost 100% of those are sold, but there's a strategy that these companies are using now, the debt collectors. If you do not dispute that debt with them and make them prove everything from your signatures from when you applied for that credit card loan, they're going to probably try to push to take you into garnishment with these. And it's just a strategy that they're using, and because they're being able to get 100%, they're taking on a whole bunch of fees. They're taking on a bunch of legal fees, interest, a lot. I've seen from a recent client, they had owed a credit card balance of about $3,700, and it ballooned up to $8,000. And we're trying to work on a settlement, but because the companies know, and they're researching by looking at your credit reports, they're looking at your job and seeing if you can afford it, they're going to try to push to do a garnishment unless we can negotiate a 50 to 55 or 60% settlement on that debt. They're going to push to go to garnishment, and why not? Because they're going to be able to get 100%. They just want to get a whole bunch of payments coming in. But still, regardless, we're going to make sure that it's not past statute of limitations. We want to validate that debt with the credit card companies to make sure that they have all the appropriate paperwork showing that they purchased that debt, and then we can move into helping that client settle. Same thing with the payday loan. We want to make sure statute of limitations sold and also move towards settlement. And then with the inquiries, we want to make sure that it wasn't one of where they went and got, and when we looked at it, it did show that she had went to try to get a new car. They ran her credit on with multiple finance companies. We will be able to get that minimized to only the one dealer that she went into, because she did not understand that she was signing to be shopped with multiple car dealers. And so that's going to be something. And then also something to watch out for is when you apply for credit cards on these websites, there's a lot of companies that say bad credit cards. When you apply, they're going to run your credit with a whole bunch of different companies, and that can make multiple inquiries. You have a right to only have had your credit pulled once, and then the rest of them should be removed off your credit report. Now, let's move over here. Let's erase some of this here. All right, now let's move over to the future. Once we always tell our customers, these are some things that you need to do. Let me put it this way. If you hurt your arm and you were in a cast, would you go out there and do things to hurt your arm again? You wouldn't. But we find that a lot of people do that when it comes to their credit, is that while they're working on their credit, they're doing things to hurt their credit. So we tell people, don't do any inquiries, and then also continue to pay down your debts so you can move. And then once all of that is resolved, you start moving towards rebuilding. And then also keep in mind that a big part of credit repair is financial. You have to put together a budget. You have to, because when all of this is said and done, if your credit is back to where you want it to be, you got your job, you've stabilized your household, you're gonna have to live within a budget. You're gonna have to financially run your household like it's a business, or you're not going to be successful. That's just the way that it has to be, and you have to do that moving forward. Now, I'm not going to get into the ways that we would move into rebuilding your credit, because I don't want you to end up skipping. You can't, if you are working on your credit, you can't move into doing that, or you're going to end up taking a step forward and taking a step backwards. So I hope that you got good, valuable information on this. Please pay attention to the first part about why your credit is in the situation that it is, because that will help you move forward into the now, so you can know if you're even ready to resolve your credit. And if you want to have your credit reviewed, all you have to do is, there's either a link here, or go send it to us in the email. Go to support@thecreditrepairshop.com and request that I do a review of your credit, so we can see how we can help you, and you'll get a full report, a lot more than what you got here. You'll get a full report of exactly what we would do for you, or you could take that report and you could do it for yourself. Just depends on your knowledge. So again, this is Stephen Williams with thecreditrepairshop.com. Until next time, thank you.